he said, Steve, there's this really cool thing coming out, and you ought to check it out. It's called the World Wide Web, and they're going to call it the internet.
Huh.
And I go, really? And he said, you need to go get your name, and it's called a domain name.
Wow.
I got trinitybaptist.org.
Yeah.
And because back then they thought it was the org was supposed to
was
be
gonna
like
it.
you can only raise money that way.
Yeah.
But still, it was like $100 and something. And I
Yeah.
had a couple of deacons go, "What is this a domain thing?" I go, "I don't really know. We're still using a fax machine. I'm trying to figure this out, you know."
So you've told me this before, but he could pretty much nail it a 30-second spot in 30 seconds. He was just he had it and could go.
Yeah, I'd say, okay, you ready? We're going to do one on we're a Christmas tree lot back when you just bought a real tree, and I go, and I always made sure the audio was good because the audio, if the video doesn't have to be as good as the audio, but the audio has to be everything. If you can't hear it, it doesn't really matter. But I'd say, okay, Dad, you ready? And he'd go, all right. He'd go 3, 2, 1, and I'd start and I'd use my stopwatch on my hand.
Yeah.
And I'd zoom in or do whatever I'm having to do, and halfway through I would put my hand out so he would know you're halfway through the spot. And then at 24 seconds, I would go like this. I say, wrap it up. Wow. And he did 9 out of 10 on the first take. I mean, and there are times cars honked, and I have a good blooper reel that I can show you sometime. But and he's messed up some, but it was like, okay, that's good. I almost felt like I had to do another take. Yeah, because it's on tape. Too, and it could be. It's not like it's digital. And there could be a drop frame or something or whatever. And so, but just
you're making our crew jealous that you got to work with him. I'm not near that sharp.
Well, you're doing great. But we did over 1,400 TV spots. And I would buy the airtime. And getting back to one of the benefits of not having social media was people were focused on 4 channels or whatever we had back then. And, there wasn't much else to distract people. And so I would buy airtime at different, and we would, like 250,000 a year.
Wow. Yeah.
He would, but the church, and it's not just because you can do all this and you don't have it going on at the church. It doesn't really matter. You can have a bad restaurant and advertise it all day. But from 1980 to 2000, the church grew threefold in attendance. Number 1 in baptisms. Number 2 in attendance, and the budget went from $1 million to $6 million or something. Even though that's the third priority, obviously. But
but it's indicative
of
what the Spirit was doing.
But it helps you do other things, and we expanded, did things with a missions ministry. I took a VHS camera over to Budapest, Hungary in 1980 with Clara Paul, which you may have heard about her.
Name,
and Ben Freeman would know. And I came back to Trinity and I edited it, and it just looked like a VHS edited thing. But if that's all you know,
that's right.
But it's Budapest, Hungary. And I said, well, we ought to show it in the church, but it was on video. And we had one screen in the middle that came down in front of the stained glass window. And we put in, our church was the first large church that I know of, at least in the South, to put screens in the sanctuary.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Because, and that upset some people too, because you mess up, you change anything in a church.
That's right. That's right.
They're supposed to sit there every Sunday, so do you move? No, but all we had at the time was that, and we had a projections. We had to hire a projection team
to come in
with this big thing to put in the balcony on the third row back in the balcony. And, I had it all wired for TV stuff and all as well. But at the time, it cost $5,000. Wow. And this was 1981 or something. To show the video of people from our church going and delivering Sunday school material, translated into Hungarian through Dan McLendon, and building stuff, and it was a mission Sunday, and that Sunday the church raised $125,000.
Well, it does make it realize how spoiled we are. Where I was at preteen camp yesterday. I can film a quick video on my phone, immediately get it out to every parent everywhere, and you in real time, you're seeing what we're doing. We're just spoiled with being inundated with that. How special that would have been then.
Yeah, that
is interesting.
And to be personable. To be able to put a face with a name, and also people these days don't care what name is over the door. They just want to know if the door's open.
Yeah.
And if you're accepted.
Yeah.
Whatever. Accepting and condoning are two different things too. Yeah. But you accept what's going on in people's lives any more than one of my favorite things we did at the Garden Tomb. Dad talked about, and it was just Dad and me at the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem. I don't know how it was just the two of us, which was because a lot of people go there.
Yeah.
But it's like 7 a.m, and I was able to set up, and he talked about how Mary, who had a lot of problems and was messed up in a lot of ways, a woman, and Mary was the first Christian witness of the resurrected Christ.
Yeah.
And it's just, we did stuff in Israel, like the Lazarus tomb. We were in, talk about current situation now. We were in northern Israel in 83 when, and we missed a bomb that had hit on the side of the road from a day earlier from Lebanon. And then they attacked Lebanon. We were there, and I was trying to shoot video with Dad in Megiddo, Armageddon.
Yeah.
And we couldn't shoot video because all of my wireless mics were on the jet pilot's frequency.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out to be the largest dogfight in aviation history, and they shot down 33 Syrian MiGs and the missile batteries. But we just sat there and listened on the headphones, because there are 5 Air Force bases in that part of Israel, and it helps to be on the winning side of these wars. But just to have that kind of
those experiences. Wow. One of the things I've asked a lot of folks as we've done these conversations is, what is something from Trinity's beginning, what are some of the characteristics that remain true, throughout the differing seasons? And one of those seems to be that we hope, at least I hope this is still true of us, and certainly we want to work toward this, is an ability to innovate within tradition. And, we're traditional, we're Baptist, but there are ways to innovate within that. And I really think one of the great ways Trinity's is these conversations and this TV ministry that did so many wonderful things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there were just times where I would hear something that was said, or he would say in a sermon, and I'd just say, "Okay, Dad, let's go to your eye doctor, just not for a checkup, but just where they have those things that they you check your eyes, and does this look better? Does that look better? All that stuff." And because I had heard him say the phrase in a sermon, he said, "Many people look for God through the problems instead of looking at their problems through God."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, he's the prescription.
Yeah.
You let God be the prescription.
Yeah.
Look at your problems through him. Quit trying to look for God through your problems."
Yeah.
And he does it in 29 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. And it's like, okay, that's great. Let's go eat lunch.
Man. Yeah.
It's just
so it was a good team effort then of you listening to what he's preaching and talking about, taking the bits from that and then kind of recreating it. Yeah.
Right.
What a fun partnership.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was a bond that there are funny things that have happened. He made a sermon out of it. One time he was at a Jim's.
Yeah.
He's checking out and the lady goes, "You're Buckner Fanning." No, she said, "I know you. You're on TV." And he goes, "Well, hi, my name's," and she goes, "No, I'm taking this memory course. Let me just figure out who you are." And he was embarrassed, or people in line trying to check out, and said, "Well, he said, "No, let me," and he goes, "You sell mobile homes on television." And Dad goes, "Yes, you
close enough."
And then he did a sermon illustration on it and said, "In fact, I do, because all of us have one final move to make. We're all in a mobile home."
Yeah.
So he kind of, it's like,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's like he just was like that.
Yeah.
And he did things that, so it's just been and then I'll tell you one other one that we're at Paisanos, and it's not the one that it was the old one down on McCullough, the original. Yeah. And we're sitting at a table, and he had been on TV, and I think I mentioned, I don't know, that when I bought the airtime, to summarize, an adult impression is one adult seeing one TV spot one time. Now, some of those see him twice, others see him 4 times, some don't see him at all. But you add up the impressions, it's adult impression. Okay. He was seen in San Antonio in South Texas with over 1 million adult impressions a week.
Wow.
For 30 years.
Wow.
So, I mean, you saw him.
It was wide. And again, particularly in the day before social media.
Right.
Where a million is a lot any way you count it, but in that day, even more so. Yeah.
And, I've done work for a lot of, I did all the videos for Morgan's Wonderland. To get them started. And, other things. But when you're on television, it can be a good thing or a bad thing. A good influence or bad influence, like any knife can cut both ways. But someone said, "Why don't we try some billboards?" And I said, "No one ever is going to come up to you and go, 'Wow, I saw you on a billboard today.'" It's just, so, but I had, the history, a friend of mine, he passed away, called me in the 90s and said, he's in California and we were very close. He said, "Steve, there's this really cool thing coming out and you ought to check it out. It's called the World Wide Web." And they're going to call it the internet. And I go, "Really?" And he said, "You need to go get your name, and it's called a domain name."
Wow.
And so I got Steve Fanning. That's my website, stevefanning.com. My brother got his. I got trinitybaptist.org. And because back then they thought it was, the org was supposed to be like you can only raise money that way, but that doesn't matter now. But still, it was like $100 and something dollars. And I had a couple of deacons go, "What is this, a domain thing?" I go, "I don't really know. We're still using a fax machine. I'm trying to figure this out,
That's so interesting. Man, and so Trinity was kind of early adopter on, I've heard this as well, on website and streaming services, kind of, again, has continued to be on the front lines of some of those things through the years. Friends, thank you for joining us so much. Please like and subscribe below. Please join us again for future conversations as we look at some of the high holy days of Trinity Baptist Church 75 years.